Whoosh, up show. There we go. How long has it been? I don't know. I could count. Wow. I mean, I could go online and I could... Well, I'm not really counting. I'm looking up a date. But anyway, we're Santi Montevino. Obviously, Monte Santovino 2022 is what I meant. So, yeah, we all hang around in the square, basically, after the awards. And as you can do, they do stupid things. You don't really know, but they are apparently the hottest chili in the world. And there will be a separate release on that video. By that, I mean, I'll release the full video of them eating peppers and Lionel sweating his absolute arseholes. But the Americans, and I suppose the people staying with them, because there were, I think, 13 of them, and it was the Americans, 4 Americans and 4 wives of the Americans. And then, like, amazing painters, bronze golden demon winner, Elder from 40k single miniature, a French guy who, I don't know name, a lady, another lady, basically an amazing table of talent. With a very long chat, so I'm super grateful for them letting us round, getting a bit serious here, but you know, I just want to say thanks. It's okay. I think that's okay these days. Yeah, basically, I just saw Albert and Lionel talking to Will Hans from Star Wars. That's Han Solo's son. And it was like a light bulb moment. I was like, oh shit, I need to get the boys in. It was actually like that. I didn't have that American accent, but yeah, I was like, oh my god, that's actually a really cool idea. Why don't we fucking ask him? And Albert actually said yes, even though he told me he was tired. All the Americans were like, yeah, let's fucking do it, America, come on. So this is our podcast, our beautiful, beautiful podcast. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you tomorrow. We've just been to Monte. It's the last day. We've come back. The results are out. I think the only judge here was Albert. Right?
Proper introduction.
And there are like 14 of us, which you can see, so it's a new style. And also I'm looking up. When we start, we don't need to keep looking up like that. It feels a bit sexual. But so basically, I think we can introduce ourselves, say if we've been to Monte before, and maybe if you are so inclined, say what result you got if you entered.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's too sexual. So I'm Jamie from the Dark
Why don't we start from here and then we go?
Well, we could. Yeah, okay, go on then, Lionel.
Lionel, I managed to get gold in standard this year, first time sending.
Like a AA or something. Yeah.
I'm Will Hahn, and I got silver in Fantasy Masters painting and silver in Fantasy Masters ambient. It's also my first time.
Welcome, man.
That's my wife.
My wife.
It's my wife.
Yeah, Jamie from the Jamie Show. I'm from the Hutber Show. Yeah.
You know your own show.
You can introduce. Yeah.
I'm Teresa. I'm a painter's wife.
Welcome, Teresa.
He will be introducing himself.
So I'm Thibaut, it's my first time in Monte as well, and I managed to get silver in Fantasy Master Painting, silver in Fantasy Master Ambient, and bronze in Fantasy Master Open.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Boom! Just like that.
That's 3.
Yeah. Alright, so yeah, I'm Sticker Demos. You know, no, I'm Demos Xilas, yeah, it's my first time here. I managed to get a fantasy painting silver. And funny thing is, I forgot to put my sticker on. So
That was you!
Yeah.
He wasn't the only one.
But Demos, you're the only one that got a speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit later, and actually, Christoph Kobalzik told me that from now on I'm Sticker Demos.
And by the way, you're a Fantasy Master painting.
Fantasy
not just
Master
Fantasy painting.
Yeah, Fantasy Master Painting Silver Award, yeah.
Thanks for sharing it with
I'm Steven Garcia. I'm a U.S. painter from Texas. I got a silver in Fantasy Master Open and a gold in Fantasy Master Painters. This is my first time here, and Teresa is my rock, my everything.
You got to one-up me in the competition? I I got assuming you had to get the gold, and now you remember the
He was waiting. You know what? I'll tell him. No, I won't fucking tell him.
He's mugged you right off.
I'm Anthony. I'm a painter from Chicago, and I got a bronze in Master Fantasy Painting and a bronze in Master Fantasy Ambiance. And Alana is my conscience. She tells me.
He wouldn't have done that
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
He's so lucky Steve went for him. No way.
Keep on going. Hi, hello. I'm Anastasia Lucrezi, and it's my first ever time doing that. I won a gold on fantasy painting standard, and surprisingly, best of standard.
That's the standard.
I was expecting a proposal.
Next one in line is me, Seni Diaye. I'm from Lyon, France, and first time in Monte too. And I managed to get bronze in master painting and master ambience. And Cecile is my beloved.
So I'm Cecilia.
Chair broke, just for some context.
That's fine.
So who breaks chairs? That's
Too many medals.
Too much lifting. It's carrying all of us.
Oh, it broke. Oh.
Yeah, it literally just snapped. Unscripted bits are the best.
I'm so glad I loosened that screw.
Well, I'm Julia Hahn, and I'll say what he didn't say, but I'm his everything. I'm his muse, and best thing that ever happened to him. And this is my first time, but not last time in Monte.
Very good. Fucking hell.
If you haven't figured it out, she's also my voice.
So, yeah, and I'm Albert. I'm from Barcelona. I've been many times to Monte before. It was my first time judging though, and I judged Fantasy Open Masters, and also Standard Fantasy Painting, Standard Fantasy Ambience, and Green. So,
Gee, this is a long weekend for you, man.
You know, you did a really good job.
thank you.
Well done. Sacrifice himself.
I know, right?
And I'm Ilana, Anthony's wife.
I do think the alcohol's really helped loosen us up.
Yeah.
Absolutely twatted. No, I'm not.
So
'Cause
we're
I'm
like
driving.
at 8 in the morning, also.
Really?
No.
Oh, right. I was thinking you were drinking at 8 in the morning. So, I didn't realise how accomplished our table is. I have to admit, that is a lot of trophies, and I didn't get anything because I didn't enter. But I was right. So, the general idea of this is to not talk over each other too much, not have two sides of the tables talking, and talking about Monte. And I don't really know where to go. I guess a good place to start would be favourite pieces. Any stand-up pieces except for Eric's, because that was.
Fuck, well, that's my favorite piece.
Yeah, that was my favourite piece as well, which is why I don't want to talk about it. So, any other pieces that really shocked you, or just you got in and it was the first thing you noticed, and you were like, "That's impressive."
Athena.
So, for me, to be completely honest with you, it was hard for me to single out one single piece because it was almost just overload for me. Because I walked into that room, and especially going through being a fantasy painter, I obviously focused on the fantasy side, but everything from ambient all the way, the entire room through, it was just stellar piece after stellar piece after stellar piece after stellar piece, and it was just everything was just fantastic. I mean, the level here was the highest I've ever seen in every competition, and seeing all the works from the best artists the world over in one place and just concentrated in such a small room was just, it was like a smack in the face in the best way possible. You know what I mean? So I was just really impressed with, I mean, obviously, yeah, single piece. Eric's piece was ridiculous, but really everybody's work.
I totally agree with that. I think to say something that the standard in the standard category, you had standard and you have masters.
Right.
With standard category, entries that were there would be best of shows in many other competitions that you would attend.
I agree.
In other countries.
Exactly. And especially in the U.S. Yeah.
We have a case in point with the best in standard would fucking kill in half the competitions that we have in the U.S. as best of show, hands down. No debate, no nothing. People would walk in and say, "I would bet money that's the best of show," and it would happen. So that level being there with just the standard alone is a wow factor.
Absolutely.
So in a way, we're all winners.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't enter, you know, like. I really think that.
Well,
if
having the
you
opportunity
eat a
to
piece of that Carolina Reaper pepper, then you can count yourself a winner too.
I think, especially coming from World Expo, where, in fact, I've done Golden Demons, and I think actually whatever this SMC. That was the first big event I've been to, and it blew my mind. So much so, like you say, you become a little bit desensitized. Because every single one you go to is like, fuck, that's amazing. It's only when I went away afterwards and looked back at the videos I had, and I was like, this is crazy. Because then you can stop and look. Yeah, I see what you've done there. There are no good pieces. They're all good pieces.
Well, they're not good.
They're amazing.
They're masterpieces. You know, it's an entire room, and it's not necessarily that. No, I had too much whiskey. I dropped
You were going to say something in the beginning. What were you going to say?
No, I was. It's just like Will, but after spending some times going around, some smacked me in the face like a second time. Yeah, and I think I was one of them from Remy Tremblay. Also the piece from Eric for sure. Some stuff in historical too, because I'm not used to look lots of historical, but there is a lot of change coming in that category. That's make me want to see more, try some.
Absolutely. I agree. I think it would be fun to do some historicals, and it was great to see like Mark.
Yeah, Mark, Ben
Comets.
Yeah, I tried some stuff. There was also the scary lady. Something you don't usually see.
Was that a piece or an actual woman?
It will be historically more accurate to see her. Not human.
What was it, like a horror one, or like just an older scary?
No, it's just a woman who's scared with a backdrop of a city in flames.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So it's got like a narrative as well.
It's an historical, but you don't.
Andrews.
It could have been. Well, when he described it, the first thing that came to mind was Jacobs in Ambient, but that's different. That's not the same. It's something else.
It's different, but it's the point is it's not the thing that you expect to find.
Yeah. Which is quite cool. Just in general, right? Like when you can start slightly pushing because historical's been I only know this from Alfonso because he told me quite a lot, but like historical is so, especially in his time, was so like militant, ironically, that you couldn't change. It had to be the right color, it had to be exact. Like, and now there's, I guess, slow. I don't know if Monte was the same, but they wouldn't allow those things in before.
I mean, they are more lenient now.
Which is better, right? Just because you've got more.
We had the judges meeting before, and they say that.
Yeah.
This was not as limiting a factor as it used to be in the past when it came to awarding pieces.
Yeah, which is really nice.
You see,
I think it's a good thing because it's needed to grow.
Exactly.
A lumberjack, right?
Yeah. Totally.
It's eye-opening because with the different styles that are in that room at the level that they're at, one, it probably raises your apprehension of like what to expect, like how well you want to try to do, how you're pushing yourself. But when you're looking at all these different styles, it's almost like a leveling field because it's almost like I don't paint like that, and that looks freaking awesome. I don't even know how to comprehend the comparison between the two, and I don't envy the judges that have to figure it out either. But it also, because of that, it's at first it's amazing, and then it also like there's like a euphoria that lifts because you're like, this is totally out of my control, and I can just freaking enjoy everybody's beautiful pieces. And then you go from there, and it also unleashes the valve of creativity because you get to see different styles that are done not just done, but done masterfully. You got this awesome example to draw inspiration from.
Okay. And it kind of lights a fire.
Absolutely,
Like the chilies.
Tell us about it.
Actually, what?
I caught him in there, and he was just washing his face.
You want to tell you? Don't touch your eyes.
Well, I could put this. I could cut it in there. Well, to be fair, a lot of you actually ate the peppers here.
I did.
Yeah. Like what? Most of you.
He wanted to say something about Monte.
No. I've got a question, and I think it's actually useful having the mixed group here. One thing that we always discuss is how can this art form be taken more seriously by everyday public? How can it be taken seriously as an art form? So I'm interested in the artists' partners who've turned up today. How did you take the show? Did you, and be open, did you start to view it as serious art? Were you engaged with it? Were you here purely supportive? Could you appreciate the pieces you saw in an art form? Are you interested in your thoughts?
That's great. I think I teared up walking around.
Really?
From sadness?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that, I mean, just seeing Will's work and not really having any kind of comparison and just being so proud of him and not having a comparison. And me always saying, okay, you're the best. And then he's saying, no, really, I'm not. And then I get here and I'm like, oh.
Thank you, sweetheart. Wasn't she meant to be a supporter? This is my rock. She's your voice.
And seeing that there really is a heavy competition, so when he does bring home those medals, and like I think that he will, and he does bring home those medals, this just made me even more proud of you.
Good save.
Seeing the competition that you're up against, and then meeting the people that are involved in this art is amazing, because everybody's gonna have, there's kind of different personalities that go with different art forms, and the people that are involved in this are just awesome humans. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this grows.
I would say, because I've gone to a couple with my wonderful husband. Yes. Stephen. Just vocally putting that over.
Just for clarity's sake.
Clarity's sake. I think to answer your question, I feel a little bit more directly in my words would be, in Europe, there is still this wonderful, unapologetic passion and just love for art. So there's always this like celebration of it, where I don't think in the States where we're from, it's something that people prioritize. So when I meet people who don't know about what my husband does, I educate them.
Nice. That sounds aggressive.
Everybody's like,
But at the same time, that's what the States need.
But
need that.
it's like, but because
And
like,
not be ashamed of it, right?
yes,
It's
exactly.
just still linked to being a nerd or something, and it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, and so for me, I think that as a non-one painter, to help grow it as for people who are curious, and actually, so funny enough, like now all my friends know what he does, and a lot of them follow him on Instagram, and they are still fascinated because they're like, oh, that's a small medium, right? Because people assume painting, right, like canvases, or they assume art, graphic, or computer, so they're not thinking about like this completely different medium. And I'm sure if I brought any of them here, they would be exactly like how you felt today. Julia, like, what? Like, mind blown, So when I say educate, it's not like I'm sitting them down being like, you're going to get tested.
You're not schooling them.
I'm not schooling them. I'm just
right.
like, you know what this is, and it's really exciting, and I'm proud of him. So like that's how
I really wonder when it goes from, oh, what do you do for a hobby, and you go miniature painting, or I'm a painter or an artist. Because the lines that you guys, you cross a line where it's not really miniature painting anymore. It's just art, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just happens to be art on a 3D model, right? Like.
I can't tell you how many times that I've gone out or done something and Will's not with me because he's home painting. And so I have to tell somebody.
I mean,
we're doing something.
Going out with the girls' night.
More than that. But if I tell them like what he's doing, they have no idea. They said G.I. Joes? No! And then same thing. I mean, there's not a lot of people around us that know about it. And then telling them what it is and then showing them and
You realise though, when you go to these events, well, I've realised when I go to these events, Golden Demon excluded, like, that the community is not that big.
Yeah.
It's not as big as I thought it was at all, like, because you see these people online and you kind of think, well, that sounded poncy, like, I don't like them, but, like, you feel like it's a big thing, and then you realise you can get to know the community in, like, a year or two.
Yeah.
And you can know everybody, and it's like, I don't know why, maybe because it's just quite hard to get good. So everyone just falls off if they're not just good. I don't know, I have no idea why it's as small as it seems. Like you go to Monte, that's everyone there. Not everyone, okay, there are obviously people missing, but the vast majority of people are there.
Well,
I think that might be a good insight show.
Yeah.
Too big a subject.
Well, it's like you say. It's like you say.
We should though, actually, but yeah, like.
It's like we introduced Francesco. One of his big boons was that the US had such a big presence this year, and he
did bring it up, yeah.
Yeah, he saw that as a big growth, that it's hit the US, and obviously the best painters, or some of the best painters of the US, have come over and made their mark here.
Well,
so
Eric won, so.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
All right, well. But yeah, it just goes to show. So now that we've all met you and we've seen your faces, it is a small community.
Yeah.
And a big growth for them was six Americans.
And just
coming
6, right? Obviously, the caliber is so high.
4. Well, for fantasy, it was 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know, like there were, I think, some other Americans here in historical. Like I did see Bill Horan here.
Okay.
But
Dave
like
was
I know
here.
the fantasy
Dave was here for
community a
Greens.
little more. What?
Dave was here. David was here for Greens.
David Phillips was here for Green.
I tried entering into historical, but
They made you do fantasy.
fantasy. So
The unicorn, though.
This is a very interesting topic.
yeah.
The unicorn. Oh, I made up the unicorn. The changing of categories is interesting, or the
Changing.
how they decide it. Maybe they've just not got enough room because it was quite cramped. Probably not. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Tough crowd.
No, he.
I think it's more like Anthony's work. I mean, the British soldier from World War One.
Yeah.
I think it really pushed the boundaries between fantasy and historical.
Painted in a
And,
fantasy way, right? But it was a historical model.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
It was painted with like a personal interpretation of the ambiance, the light, and different lighting situations.
In that where he is in
But
that
that's
situation.
what
yeah.
you typically do in fantasy. But if you
Yeah.
put it onto historical, then is it fantasy or historical?
That is fucked up.
To
actually.
Yep.
be
Because
honest,
I haven't thought about it. Like it's the same with like Games Workshop. They've got their style. If you deviate from, if you do okay, they actually don't mind it. But if you do a heavily like influenced thing with 2-3 different light sources, they just freak out.
Yeah.
And I never put that to historical. Obviously, I knew it, but I hadn't clocked.
Yeah,
I
and
think
it's really
historical is
interesting.
even worse than the
It's really interesting because it pushes the boundaries between history and fantasy, right? And I think sometimes art is about pushing boundaries.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, getting
I
put in the
mean, we
wrong
had a lot of extremely well done pieces, but they were like Antony's, for example, which was one of my favorite because it really pushed the boundaries and make the judges wonder, do we have to make a new category for this?
But they moved into fantasy.
Or
right?
Yeah.
what I'm almost
It
hoping
shows
that
we're not quite there yet.
I'm almost hoping that that hopefully soon that those boundaries might kind of blur.
Well, they must
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
There's a
It's
negative reaction
about
to that.
painting. If it's about painting, it should be
This
the
is
model.
this is
Not-
what
not
art is
whether
for.
about
You know,
the model
it creates
choose.
emotion, right? For example, one of my favorite pieces was in standard. Like I don't know if you've seen it. It was really cramped up between pieces. That little cat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Talking
pushing
about
stuff
it.
around. Yeah, it's so good.
It was a diorama of a cat literally pushing display pieces out of the stands of the show.
That is good.
So
It was
That's an idea.
amazing.
I don't
I
think I
love
saw
that.
it.
I mean, just like the lady that was in front of Flaming City, that was afraid.
Someone, yeah,
It
yeah,
created
yeah.
emotion. But this was the exact opposite, creating a funny emotion. I mean, you
Yeah.
were like, you saw it and it was, this was literally really funny. I mean, yeah. So yeah, this was also one of my favorite pieces.
It goes not
It was
directly.
not that spectacular in terms
Yeah.
of painting and colors and
creativity.
stuff. But the creativity
Yeah,
and the emotion that it created, I mean, it was amazing.
I think this
Hadn't
is
seen
what
anything like that.
I think this is what drew me a lot this year to ambiance category in general, because I saw so many amazing pieces that were story driven.
Yeah.
You could see it and you could feel the piece, no matter how it was painted, how the technicalities were. You could actually emerge in the piece, and it's something I think
That's the,
I
the
totally
pinnacle,
agree.
isn't it?
it
That's
needs
the
to be
best.
more explored.
But not only that it's the pinnacle, is I think that that's the direction that we're moving. And I think I had conversations with some of the judges, I think it was Christoph specifically, is that we're getting to a level, I mean, specifically walking through that room, that we're almost, like, the top echelons are almost reaching, like a stopping point as far as like technicality goes.
Yeah.
So like when we hit that, like
pinnacle
where
point.
do we go?
Yeah.
And the next logical step is that emotion, the storytelling, or making a statement, you know, and really connecting to the viewer and moving more towards trying kind of traditional art in that way, and maybe gaining more legitimacy as an art form, you know, as per our last comment. To really connect with the viewer and make something special and emotional and powerful.
What I think is funny about that is I think because the strength of the fantasy artists in these competitions versus historical is the fantasy community is so much more eager to embrace different art forms and different mediums and ways of putting the information out versus the historical side where they're incrementally making these small changes. They're not
It's
as
stayed the same for years.
yeah, they're not as like harsh as they were, is as good as it gets. And then maybe next year they're just a little bit less harsh. But I think in our community, we're much more accepting and looking for, well, this category should go away because these two things are really the same, and maybe we should introduce a whole new category to acknowledge this specific medium, and let's go, guys, let's do it. And I think ironically, where in the past historical has been like the king of battle and fantasy has been the queen of battle, as we move forward, the roles I think are going to reverse.
They have reversed already.
Well, I think that's more.
I think they have already reversed.
That's what I was kind of thinking too.
Without
is
a doubt.
that
Without a
it's-
doubt.
I think most of the historical guys are like dead in 20 years. So,
Oh my god!
You said it. You said it.
And then there's no more historical.
job done.
And then we can all play historical.
I
And get a whole new historical.
No,
Hit me like a
that's true
sledgehammer
though.
when I
I
was
was
filming
trying
it.
to bend comments, and he was saying like he was actually mad that I put my piece into fantasy. He's like, you should have put it into historical. Even if it doesn't win anything, you need to shake their world.
Yeah, from the inside. From the
Yeah,
inside.
from the inside. So I think we should next year we should all enter something into historical and
Painted in
shake
fantasy style.
No, we need to all build the same model and all paint it differently in different styles. Paint the
Yeah,
same
I
fucking
know,
model.
right? Yeah.
As long as
That
they're all
would be
different.
really
Hashtag paint the
cool.
same model.
No.
It's not the best hashtag I know.
I'm curious.
No.
I mean, it's all about the community now, and you know.
In your
Trend, the general populace, like we were talking about trying to get more American painters out here and trying to make this more popular among the states, is that
If you want some cheese,
oh my
it's
god,
no.
oh my god.
He said, now or never.
No,
Quick.
Albert, cheese.
You take some, you drip some, and it's now or never.
Yes, sir. I got you, babe. I got you.
Okay, right, we're going to start the video again in a minute.
Yeah, no problem.
Cheese!
Yeah, do it.
Go ahead. We just have one, so go ahead.
Oh my God, Sadie.
Cheese reminds me
Frenzy and a frenzy.
Yeah.
It's from France.
So, how is it? How is it?
Very good, man.
Oh,
Dude,
man,
Sadie.
amazing.
I paint miniature too. Yeah. Remember that.
Wow, that's really
Sandy
good.
the cheese master.
With mushrooms. Like,
Oh my god. Yeah, test
like
out the
the
triple.
You can do like olive oil and tea.
Almost.
Sticker deep.
So I'm not sure what we were talking about.
Oh my
We were talking about cheese mostly.
We got distracted. Now you see how distracted these people got over cheese?
Makes me sick.
I just want to have one question about what you were saying later about the acknowledgement of our art.
Yeah.
I wanted to have one question back. Did it really matter? In fact, the need we have to like that people acknowledge it as an art form. I think this is the art form of this community. This is the drive, and you don't have this drive in other communities. So if they acknowledge what we do, but we lost this.
I think for me, coming back, if this community is to survive and thrive, it's got to grow. And for it to grow, because if you look at it, there is not much new blood coming into the painting community. If you look at the average age, particularly in the UK, so if you look at young blood, how many entries come in, and you look at the big people who place at Golden Demon, you look at their average age, 34, 35, they grew up reading White Dwarf, 44 and whatnot.
Yeah.
And at that point, if the community is to survive and grow and develop, you do need it to be appreciated from a wider stance. I don't think we will lose this.
So I think there's a couple factors in there.
Is that not a generational thing? Like
And that's what I was gonna.
Yeah, you bring your children.
Sort of say.
I think most of the people I know who enters into that hobby, it was by uncle, sister, grandsister, grandfather, generational thing.
But I think it's different because right now kids have so much offer of things to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, they have their iPad, they have their video console,
achievements
they
in
have
games
so
as
much
well,
stuff. When we started, when I was a child, I had nothing. I mean, I had comic books
Hoarder
and
with
nothing.
White Dwarf, man. Hours
It was not the same.
Yeah,
But
right?
it has so
And
much
it's
to
true.
offer next to video games, you know.
Yeah.
But, obviously, you know.
Our video games were so different from, and they also didn't have social media.
No internet, we didn't have internet. Anyway.
Yeah.
But the only thing I'd say on it is, well, the first thing I'd say is, I remember going to Golden Demon in 1999, and the Youngbloods, there must have been 50.
Man, when I
entries
won
or
Young Bloods when I was a kid, there were 300 entries per house.
Like, it was absolutely
freaking massive. 300, and today,
yeah, you
there
got
were
5 or 6.
20 or something
At
tops.
Adepticon, we had 2.
Well, yeah, 2 of them, right?
Did any of them win?
When I entered as a
no
kid,
one.
I
maybe.
feel like Eli is going to, we're going to train Eli
When I entered,
this year for sure.
yeah, and today.
Like, get Thomas.
It's just easy as you go to my Instagram followers and you check by age group who is into the hobby. 0.1%, age 13 to 17.
So I think
or 1%. I don't remember.
Like, is going up.
Tiny.
This was my second point, just
Will
quickly.
wanted
Was,
to come back on that
I
point.
came to the first and 2, sorry, Will, mate. No, I did say my first point. The second point was, we all, well, not all of us, but a lot of us stopped when we hit puberty. And then as soon as we got a wife, we were like, fuck, I've got a snatch, and now I can just start painting, because I'm not chasing
back.
You're not lying.
I can go back to being a nerd.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. That was actually one of the points that I was going to make.
Yeah,
Is
like-
that, like you mentioned, like a lot of the people who were doing this are like in their mid-30s, and I'm like, yeah, that's because we did it when we were kids, and then we stopped because we thought it wasn't cool.
Wait, so was it up to
and then
us
we
to
got
show
married.
how hot we are? That you can get?
Yes, exactly. exactly. And then no, it was this. Once we put the ring on it, and we're like, okay, now we can go back to painting. But talking about one of the things that I did feel was promising, specifically at Nova this year. You know, we're talking about New Blood and stuff.
Nova's a painting competition.
Nova Open is a wargaming convention on the East Coast of the U.S. It's like what I would kind of consider one of the big, like 3 big 4 competitions in the U.S. And there's a nice painting competition there, and I judged Standard this year. They had the most entries they've ever had in any of their competitions in their history, and the most entries they've ever had in the Standard. And there were a lot of new painters as of the past couple years. So through the COVID bubble, you know, I think was
But
actually
was it young painters or was it painters returning to the hobby after many years?
No, but I mean, I'm talking about like mid 20s. You know, I mean, there wasn't as many young like kids.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, seeing like mid 20s and not like guys like mid 30s, 40s. You know, I think it's still promising.
I talked to many painters who started in COVID.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
And they're amazing,
and it's
and really great.
They're really good. So like the COVID bubble, and I mean, and that's if I'm being completely honest, I was kind of a shitty painter before COVID, so like I'm kind of on the COVID bubble too. And a lot of people kind of like, as shitty as COVID was, I think in a way it was kind of good for the community, you know. And also in the U.S., one of the things I've noticed is like as Games Workshop has been growing and the influence of Warhammer is moving out, there's a lot of people who I've been meeting that are kind of getting interested in this, and like for so many of us, like Warhammer was still the gateway drug, you know, and it's like kind of painting with a purpose, and then you kind of see the light of this display painting, and it kind of pulls us in.
Especially when you hit a sort of echelon on like tabletop painting, and you're like, fuck, I want to take it a little bit more, and it's a natural thing that you have to go into that.
Wait, do a plug for the event that I'm doing. What's it? I'm doing
Kill Team Open.
Kill Team Open.
Hey,
February 18th and 19th in Maryland.
Baltimore. Yeah, if you like
Over
Kill
Hills
Team,
Mansion.
KillTeamOpen.com.
KillTeamOpen.com.
Yeah, Kill Team forever.
If you come to think of it,
What's this?
if you come to think of it, everyone's here is the first time in Monte, right?
Yes.
Yeah, more or less.
So-
So I guess that's sort of
I
like
think it's funny that a metric that we're all universally drawn to is using Golden Demons, Youngblood as a standard for the generational insertion into our hobby. Where I think as we grow collectively as a community, there's a good portion of us that want to detach ourselves from the wargaming community, and because of that, not diming them, you know, specifically saying, but by extension of that, Golden Demon specifically, not. People enter Golden Demon, there's awesome artists in it, they make creative fucking stuff. Regardless of how you feel about that, a lot of artists feel that detachment from GW specific things, it would be a boon to our community. That's where the growth is. So I think it's funny that we're all universally using a standard of the New Bloods coming in as the Golden Demons, Youngblood type.
I agree. I would just like to see, you know, because like there is sort of like this. You know, you think about like sort of like what someone thinks of like as like a heavy metal or Golden Demon style, and kind of like the type of painting that you see here. Even though there were like heavy metal painters here, you know, and they did very well because they're very, very good. But the thing is, I think that because the styles in a way are kind of divergent, like what we need is kind of a bridge. You know, a bridge between the two.
But then on the
to make it more free flowing.
Can I add a side note here? Sorry, can I add a side note here? Yeah. I've been working for a wargaming company, and they've been telling me, okay, you need to scale down your painting skills so people do not get afraid from what you show in the box art, right? So people would think the new bloods, I mean the new painters in the wargaming community, would think, okay, I can do that. I mean, I don't really like that.
I think that's a false fallacy.
Exactly.
We don't. When we grew up, shit attitude to have, man.
Absolutely.
When I was a kid, I saw all these amazing paint jobs on my door. I wanted to paint as well as them.
Yeah, that was why we got into it though. You looked at it, oh fuck, I want to do that.
Yeah, I want to get that.
It's like we don't bite. We're good people. I mean, come ask us. We will tell you what colors we used, what the techniques were, what the tools were that were used. I mean, we don't bite. You can ask us.
The only thing
We can show you.
And sign up for classes. And
Another thought.
LVO 2023. There's like 4 people at this table that we have seats open.
So that particular point makes me wonder if the masters in all of these competitions, if there's an opportunity to favor or promote companies that are more accepting of a more expressive style for their box art versus ones that are more limiting. It's almost like we're manifest destiny. We're pushing the agenda that we want, that we know is going to grow the community, rather than catering to the companies that are trying to restrict us.
Exactly. Yes. I totally agree.
The only thing I
I just wanted to say that people tend to be afraid of the good elite stuff.
Yeah.
But we really are not that kind of guys who snob, newcomers, and okay, we are elitists, and we like to, be with people of the same level, instead of people who come to the hobby and are new.
And
we really like to have new bloods. I personally really like to show people who are really actually new to the hobby and tell them, some basic stuff. I mean, don't do that. Try this one for change. And if you like it, keep it on. Evolve it.
And there's one thing that people must not forget, and it's that even the top-notch stuff, those painters, they were not born being
10 years.
the best painters. They started being shit like everybody else. They learned their way up, right?
I don't have an artistic background.
So-
Still, I did silver in masters painting. I mean,
Actually, and that's an interesting point. I'm actually interested to know how many of any of us have an art background.
I don't.
I don't.
Is photography
Kind
considered
of.
art?
Photography.
Yeah.
What are you considering it?
Not really though.
Well, I did graphic design in college for a year.
Well, that's our
Yeah.
That's more than me at least, right?
Dude, it was a freshman level thing.
It's in your blood though. Your mom is
That's
an
also graphics and not tactile
Your
painting.
mom.
Lionel's got a master's
I had
degree in
an
fine art.
I had an etching sketch.
You have a master's in fine art?
No, I actually got kicked off A-level art. So that's why I'm a lawyer.
That's why I'm a lawyer.
Backup plan.
So I was kicked off A-level art because I didn't have the right attitude, and the only course that was open was law. So that's why I'm a lawyer.
It fits you.
It's a romantic story.
I actually bet you're a really good lawyer.
I've studied economics.
HR.
And I'm also a really good politician.
What?
You're a good podcast host.
Okay.
You're a good podcast host.
Wait for this.
Thank everyone for coming. It's your house. And would you go to Monte again?
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
We'll be here next year.
For sure.
We'll be here next year.
The wives will too.
Cheers, guys.
Don't worry about it.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Empty bar.
Get the clink.
Hope that works.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, brilliant, guys.
Dude, I think that's a great podcast. That's a really good discussion.
Yeah, we literally could do like hours on that.
all night.
On this thing, but it's 2:30. No, it's not. In some countries.
What?
In some countries.
And in some countries it's 7:30. I mean,
I normally go to bed at 9. It's been real though.
Really good.
Wait, babe, we've been going to bed at like between 1 and 2 every night.
I don't know what the fuck time it is on my body right now. Where am I?
Look, is this your wine?